Microeconomics is the very essential part of the understanding the economics. In the microeconomics, there is the many fundamental concepts which cover overall the understanding of the economics. In the whether we could understand that the microeconomics could become the fundamental of the overall understanding of the economics. So the microeconomics has the very vast and the conceptual clarification which provide the very clarity when we go or the move forward to the understanding of the overall understanding of the economics. Due to due to this reason, the microeconomics has the very conceptual and the very clear form of the concepts in it. So it will provide a very clarity when we move into the understanding of the very concept in its very gross root and the very deeper form of understanding. Due to all this reason, microeconomics has its own goal and own its impact in the understanding of the overall economics in the very larger and the very clarity form. Due to this reason, we cover the macroeconomics in a very clear and the very major form. So the consumer consumption or the consumer is the basic thing in the microeconomics. When we understand the consumer in the microeconomics, it is the very basic and the very major part of the microeconomics. So it will provide the very clear form of the understanding in the economics. Due to this reason, the consumer behavior is the theory of the consumer has the very clarity or the it should be gained through the very clear understanding. When we understand the consumer in the microeconomics, it will provide a very clear understanding of the consumer how it behave in the market. So the consumer what consumes is the production. The productions is the related to the production cost, production function, and the production theories, and later on and the cover the output revenue and so on. And there is a rationality which is the rationality which how the consumer behaves in the market and how he consumes the income in a way that the so the utility can be maximized. So the here the consumer is also rational and the producer is also rational. Consumer is the rational in a way that he consumes or the he spends his income in a such a way that the utility from the money has to be maximized. So the on the other hand, the producer is the rational in a way that he tries to maximize his profits by selling the product. So overall, the rationality has been implemented to the consumer as well as the producer itself. And there is the market forms and the interaction of the consumer and the producer is in the marketplace. Marketplace is where the consumer and the producer meets, and in the present world there is the very different conceptualization clarity in the understanding of the market. The market has been digitalized. There is the physical market as well, but there is the larger part of the uh, digital markets where the meat of the consumer and the producer is on the very different levels. So the pricing of the factors of production like the so pricing the market when next comes to the pricings of the factors of production, it could include the rate of interest, rent, interest, wages, and the prices. So overall, this comes in the pricing of the factors of production. So to this, there are the rent theories, interest theories, wages theories, and the profit theories. And overall, at the end, the main aim of the economy is to the welfare. So at the end, there is the welfare economy. So how the ultimate goal is of the any economy is of the welfare. Welfare creates the very conceptualization and theoretical form. So that the overall welfare of the economy has to be happened. So due to this reason, the welfare has its own great impact on the economy. So due to all this, understanding of the economics from the microeconomics in a very very theoretical form and in the present scenario has very conceptualizations and the theoretical form. Due to all these reasons, we understand the microeconomics in a very detailed form. So understanding of the means I understand the microeconomics in a very clear and the very conceptualization form. Due to all this reason, microeconomics has a very great or the clear impact on the overall understanding of the economics. So in the present scenario, There are the different challenges in the understanding of the economics or the microeconomics. Due to this, the foundational clarity of the microeconomics is the very essential in the implementations of the overall understanding of the economics. When we implement this claritical forms in the overall understanding of the economics, at that point we can lead to a conclusion that how the microeconomics can be implemented in the overall understanding of the economics. When we implement the microeconomics in a very claritical form to the overall economics, we can conclude that how the microeconomics has its own impact on the understanding of the implementations of the overall conceptualizations in the economics. So the main reason to the conceptual clarities of the microeconomics could become the consumer behavior, the theories of the consumer, theory of the demand. The overall the microeconomics is the overall majoritical part is the consumer. How the consumer behaves is the very very basic and the most and the deepest form of the deepest part of the microeconomics. When we try to understand the consumer, there are the many parts how the consumer behaves, how he implements his rationality, how he behaves, how he works, and how he spends his limited or the income in a such a way that the utility or the ration utility can be maximized. So the utility has the very impact on the spending of the consumer. How he spends his the limited income, how he manages his overall spendings, how he try to maximize his utility, that the utility or utility he tries to maximize his utility in a such a way that the maximization of the utility has the very great and the conceptual impact on the overall understanding of the microeconomics. Due to all these factors and the understanding, so we can implement the various theories in the understanding of the consumer. Consumer behaves in a very rational form. He tries to behave in a rational form, but he not has been studied. Everyone has not been studying the economics, but the rationality is the inbuilt or the that is the part of the every consumer. So he tries to get the maximization of the money, and he tries to bargain, and he tries to comparison in the market, and he tries to get the utility by the spending of his little income in a way that the utility what he has to been taken or what he has to be gained from the spending of his money in a way that there is they could not become the loss in his the income which has been spent on the. So the rationality of the consumer has the very greatest part in the understanding consumer behavior. Consumer has been studied or not has been studied the economics, but the rationality is the key feature of the every consumer. What he spends, he compares the every product in the market, what he has to be buy from the market, and at the end he buys the with the maximum utility, with the savings of the more money, with the spending of the less money into the market. Due to this all reasons, the consumer has the very great essential form of spendings into the market. So the utility what he has to be gained in the market has the very great impact on his spending, and the overall the happiness what is known as the utility in the form of the rational behavior into the market, so that he has to be gain it through the spending of this money, and he tries to save money in a way that by the increasing of the prices in the market. So he tries to save the money by not spending on the unessential things. So this is also the one of the present scenarios in the current inflations on the raising of prices. This has also one of the greatest impact, how the consumer is trying to save his income for spending on the necessary things, so that the while buying of the necessary things there could not become the problem in his these spendings. Due to these all reasons, consumer is trying to save his money in very certain things, in certain ways, that his utility can be maximized his by the spending on the very necessary things in his limited income. Due to all this reason, consumer is becoming very rational and rational in a very certain ways in the present scenarios of the world. So understanding of the every step of the consumer behavior in the market is the very conceptualization or very clear form of the understanding in the present scenarios of the market.